Hello, my brush lads, lasses, and everybody in between. My name is Tyler, and for today's Commander Deck Tech, we're looking at Red-Black Eldrazi with Rakdos, Lord of Riots. An incredibly unique commander, Rakdos is a 6/6 demon with flying and trample that casts for black-black, red-red, but who can't be cast at all unless an opponent has lost life this turn. While he's out on the battlefield, creature spells we cast cost 1 less to cast for every 1 life our opponents have lost this turn. So, that's the name of the game. Deal large bursts of damage at once to all of our opponents, then play incredibly expensive creatures for really cheap and sometimes even for free. The best candidate for that role are the Eldrazi, since most of them are pure generic colorless anyways, and nothing feels more satisfying than dropping Titan after Titan for literally nothing. Starting off with our true colorless haymakers, we have the Artisan of Kozilek, the Bane of Balaged, Breaker of Armies, Conduit of Ruin, Desolation Twin, Eldrazi Devastator, Eldrazi Mimic, Emrakul the Promised End, Endless One, Hand of Emrakul, It That Betrays, Kozilek's Channeler, Kozilek's Pathfinder, Kozilek Butcher of Truth, Oblivion Sower, Pathraiser of Ulamog, Ulamog's Crusher, Ulamog both the Ceaseless Hunger and the Infinite Gyre, Void Winnower, Warden of Geometries, and the only non-Eldrazi in this section, the Gate Colossus. All of these are incredibly powerful creatures that all come with their own slew of devastating abilities, and with enough damage, can all be cast for absolutely free. We also run Deceiver of Form, Dread Defiler, Endbringer, Kozilek the Great Distortion, Rapacious One, and Reality Smasher as more payoffs, even though the colorless ones here can't actually be cast for free since they have the colorless mana symbols alongside the generic ones. So everything in this section would cost at least 1 or 2 mana to still cast. Creatures such as the Avatar of Woe, Harvester of Souls, Karavek the Merciless, Massacre Worm, Obnixilis the Fallen, and Rootsguard Demon also fall into that category, but they serve as more utility roles as opposed to being purely damage-based ones. For example, Karavek and the Massacre Worm can deal even more damage to make things even cheaper, Harvester can keep our hands full of cards, and Rootsguard Demon can tutor up any card that we happen to need at that moment. Our last batch of creatures are here purely for their utility. Dread Presence and Indulgent Tormentor can either draw us cards or work towards getting Rakdos online. Kedis Emberclaw Familiar lets us spread Rakdos' massive 6 power around, basically letting us cast things for up to 16 generic mana less if it hits a single person. Stormfish Crusader both draws cards and gets Rakdos online, and Vile Smasher just lets us throw around even more damage when we cast our big spells the first time each turn. One of the biggest ways we have to get our strategy going is to actually have our creatures connect with our opponents, so we have a suite of Planeswalkers to help with just that. Angrath, Captain of Chaos, can amass 2 as an ability, but also gives all of our creatures Menace. Obnixilis the Hate-Twisted, as well as Obnixilis Reignited, come in and have means of either destroying creatures and or drawing us cards. Tybalt Rakish Instigator stops our opponents from gaining life, and makes little devil tokens that can ping when they die, meaning when they attack, whether or not they get through or they get blocked, we still get to turn on Rakdos' ability if he's not on the field already. And Ugin the Ineffable reduces our colorless spells by up to 2 generic mana, also while drawing its cards and exiling colored threats. Our artifact suite is pretty light, but very powerful. Rakdos Signet and Sol Ring help us ramp into our massive creatures, while Lightning Greaves keeps our highest priority creatures safe, and God's Pharaoh's statue taxes and pings our opponents. I mentioned earlier that one of the best ways for us to get Rakdos online was to make sure that our creatures can connect. Cards like Chaos Warp, Consume the Meek, Feed the Serpent, Unlicensed Disintegration, Dreadbore, and Pestilence all fill that role very well, clearing out any targets, stopping us from getting in for that sweet, sweet damage. If those don't work, Browbeat, Zoth Consumption, Court of Ambition, Curse of Wizardry, Ill-Gotten Inheritance, Revenge of Ravens, and Underworld Dreams all act as secondary sources of life loss. Some of these are hard to set off on our own turn, but when we use them in tandem with other cards, we can have the table hurting for life in no time. Our last batch of cards are our general support. Things like Malakir Rebirth, or Not of This World, can keep our beefy hitters safe, while Through the Breach and Unleash Fury can deliver devastating blows out of absolutely nowhere. Diabolic Tutor can search up any card that we need in the moment, while Damnation and Life's Finale can give us a full board reset, with the Finale going even further as to pull 3 creatures out of an opponent's library and stick them in the graveyard. Our land base is fairly straightforward. Blood Crypt, Command Tower, Graven Cairns, and Temple of Malice give us access to either of our colors, while Evolving Wilds, Ash Barrens, and Bloodstained Mire can search up any of the colors that we need more of. Castle Lochthwain is a constant source of card draw on a black mana source. Rick's Mahdi Dungeon Palace can rip threats out of our opponent's hands. Witch's Cottage can get a creature out of our grave and put back on top of our deck. Sanctum of Ugin can act as a one-time Eldrazi tutor when we cast one of our big boys. And the trio of Urza lands, the Mine, Power Plant, and Tower, can come together to give us massive ramp into our massive creatures. Top things off with 9 swamps and 8 mountains, and we are ready to go! Thank you all for joining me on today's Commander Deck Tag. I'm always looking for more fun and interesting cards to add to my builds, so comment your favorite cards down in the comment section below. Leave us a like, subscribe, and ring that little notification bell so that you never miss an upload. I've been Tyler, and I'll see you next time. Peace!